Welcome to the fastest stop in town. Today on the Masechtas Yoma Daf Pei Aleph. We are going to begin on Pei Aleph Amud Aleph by the two dots, about 6 lines from the top. The Mishnah told us Ochel v'Shoyse ein mitzarfin. Now, when it comes to food and drink, we do not combine the two. The Mantana. So, who's that opinion that we don't combine the two to be chayiv for Yom Kippur? So, Amar Chisda v'Machlokas Shnuya is based on the following machlokas. Rabbi Yeshua, he did not klal on Rabbi Yeshua. He said the following general rule: Kol shetumasa b'shiru shava mitzdaref. When it comes to the dinim of tuma, if we find that the measurements are exactly the same, they're mitzdaref. Says Rashi, Kigon shnei chatzoi zaysim v'shnei mesim. If you have two half zaysim with two different dead bodies, or mishnei nevelos o shtei chatzei adasha mishnei shratzim. So we know that a sheretz is matama at a barley seed. So if you have two shratzim, they're mitzdaref with each one is half an adasha. Shizman tumasan shava v'shirun shava l'tama v'shir echad. However, tumasai v'lo shiru shiru v'lo tumasai v'lo tumasa v'lo shiru ein mitzdaref. However, let's say, for example, it's tummy, but it's not the same measurements. For example, a sheraton and a vela, they both have the element of tumas erev, but the measurement is not the same because one's a kazayas, one's a kadasha. Or let's say it has the same measurement, not the same element of tuma. For example, a mason and a vela, they're both tummy with a kazayas, but we know that when it comes to a tumas mace, tumas shiva, with the sprinkling of the paraduma, as opposed to when it comes to the nevela, all you have is tumas erev. So all these cases is not mitzdaref. So therefore, it must be like our Mishnah. Answer number one. Rav Nachman number no. Fiyotem Rabban. Ad kanokar Rabbanon Hasam El Indian Tuma. Maybe the only time they said this regarding Tuma, the Shem Tuma Chadi, it at least has the same concept of Tuma, even if it may not be the same measurements. Abul Hacha Mishum Yetuve Daitahu. V'Hailo Miyati Daite. You can't be mitzdaref food and drink because each one on its own is what will remove that hunger pain or that thirst. Half and half is not going to accomplish anything. The Chino Merei Shalokish b'Machlokas Shnuya Rabbi Yeshua did not call Rabbi Yeshua l'chulu. Rabbi Yochanan no feel Tim Rabbanan not called Kamar Rabbanan Hasam El Indian Tuma Kabel Hacham Yisham Yetuvi Daite who Tahai will come Miyati Daite, which goes to question 5. Question 5. Either because they're different shiurim, just like Tuma, or we say that no, it's only Yasvi Daite. Let's see the next Mishnah. A person eats and drinks on Yom Kippur the same state of forgetfulness. You're only have to bring one chatas. That's it. As Rashi says, we are now eating and drinking from the same pasuk. However, if let's say a person ate and did malacha, which have two shemos, so they're based on two psukim, so you're going to be chayav two chatois. If a person ate foods or drank drinks that are not really fit to be eaten or drank, v'shasa seer or morias potter. If a person drank fish or fish brine or fish fats, you're potter. We'll discuss that when we get to that part of the Gemara on today's daf. Why is there no azhara when it comes to the inu of Yom Kippur? Mishum dulo esher. The answer is it's impossible to mention inui when it comes to not afflicting yourself. After all, how could the Torah write it? Don't eat. We know achil b'kazayis. Whenever you have the word achil, you would think that means it's a kazayis, but we know it's a kersevis. So nichtam rachmana lo su'uneh. Let it say lo su'uneh, no kum echol mashma. That almost sounds like you should get up and eat. Masav Rav Hoshia nichtam rachmana hishomer pen lo su'uneh. Why does it say it that language, which is clear that it means not to? So where it says im kain official lavi, you'll end up having additional lavim. Says Rashi, hishomer pen shishneim lo sasakein. Each is a lo saseh. Vanan lav echad amrina. There's only one lav. So Maskav Rav Bibi Rabbi said that's Rachman Hishomer b'mitzvah sinui. So just say the word Hishomer. So im kain Hishomer de lav lav Hishomer of a lav is a lav. Hishomer da asay, asay. However, Hishomer of an asay, of you should be afflicted, is an asay. And that is, we won't, we want to be able to make it into a los asay. But if you do it this way, the word Hishomer of an asay is an asay. He's saying that you should afflict yourself. So Maskal Rav Ashi Nichtav al Toiser Mina Inoi. Kasha, question why, what's wrong with that language? But Tana Maisel Mahacha. Our Tana went from here. The Pasuk says, Yinisim es nafsho seichem, to afflict your souls of malacha l'sasu, not to do work. Yachli yehi onish al toisefes malacha. You would think even when it comes to toisefes malacha, if a person would not work on the extra time that's added on to Yom Kippur, Talmud Lomer b'chol nefesh asher lo sasa kol malacha. The etzem hayom hazeh. Al etzimu shel yoim onish koros. Only if you actually violate Yom Kippur, the actual day of Yom Kippur, min onish koros al toisefes malacha, not on the toisefes. Yachol yehi onish koros al toisefes malacha. Fine, you're not going to be chayiv on the toisefes. Maybe you think, Abel yehi onish koros al toisefes inui, but maybe there should be an onish koros, a punishment on tosefes inui. So the lemer ki kol nefesh asher lo sunem etzem hayom hazeh. Al itzum shel yoim onish koros. You know onish koros al tosefes inui. So again, there's no prohibition if a person would do malacha. There's no, it's wrong because there's tosefes malacha and there's tosefes inui, but you're only going to be chayiv etzem hayom hazeh. Okay, fine. Yachol yehi b'chlal einish. You think it's not in the category of a punishment. Aval yehi musar al tosefes malacha. Maybe there should be at least a horror, some warning. You only have the azhara dafka on Yom Kippur itself. In musar al tosefes malacha. Yachol yehi musar al tosefes malacha. Aval yehi musar al tosefes inui. Maybe at least on tosefes inui. Maybe it shouldn't apply. No, but dinhu. It should not apply. Why? Because a malacha shno heges meshabas yom tayvim. We know when it comes to malacha, it's naig on Shabbos and Yom Tiv that you can't do malacha not just on Yom Kippur, on any Shabbos and Yom Tiv. Inu musar allow, there's no azhar on it. So inui she'enu naig b'Shabbos Yom Tiv meno din sholihi musar allow. So certainly there should not be azhar on it because we know the prohibition of eating on Yom Kippur is daf on Yom Kippur. So therefore one would not think that we're musar on tosefes inui. When it comes to azhara on the day itself, the affliction itself, we didn't learn. So how do we know that? Maybe you shouldn't even mention anything about punishment when it comes to doing work. The government inoi. When it comes to inoi, which is not noig except on Yom Kippur and not on Shabbos and Yom Tov. Onish kari, so malacha, shenegaz the inoi. Malacha shno heges b'Shabbos and Yom Tovim lo kol shekain. Then certainly. So lo menemar. So why do we mention the punishment for malacha? Mufna. It's extra. So then why do we do with the fact that it's mufna? Lahakash v'lodim mimena. We learn from it. Gzer shavah never einish b'inoi v'never einish b'malacha. Ma malacha onish el im kin hizer. Just like when it comes to malacha, you can't get punished unless there's a warning. So inoi will onish el im kin hizer. There has to be a warning. Equal mifrach. Let's say 1 second. You can't necessarily learn one from the other. Mal inoi, when it comes to inoi shelo huter mechlaloi. Timer malacha shehuter mechlaloi. So what does this mean? Like in Rashi, ma inoi klamer einish the malacha lav mufnahu. It's not extra. Sheim basal amanu inoi yeshul hashim malacha huter miksasa etzel gavoa. We know that a vod in the mikdash is performed even on Shabbos and Yom Kippur. So it's actually, maybe we could think it's a kula by malacha. It's not. We find that it's hutter mechlaloi. However, when it comes to inui and Yom Kippur, we know even the Kohen Gadol has to fast on Yom Kippur. I mean, maybe you can kind of maybe that there's the one person, the one who goes to Azazel. We provide food for them. So he has pas pasaloi. Okay. When it comes to malacha, it's hutter mechlalo because you can do work avoda in the base of mikdash, onish kares, nonetheless the punishment is inui shelo hutter mechlalo kosh kain, so lo menemra. Mufna it must be because it's extra. Hakash v'lodim mimena gzer shav nemar onish b'inui, so it's extra to tell us. Just like there's a punishment by inui, but nemar Einish b'malacha. Ma malacha einish lehiser. Afinu einish lehiser. So mibrach. As we said before, there is an issue one over the other. One is makel in one regard. When it comes to malacha, you can do malacha on Shabbos and Yom Tov. But ma malacha shechino hegez bo Shabbos and Yom Tovim. But it does apply. It does exist. It's not just a one-day deal. So Amar Ravina, Haitana etzem gama. He actually learns out based on the words etzem. Mufna, and he says this extra, because after all, the ilo mufna, if it wouldn't be extra, equal mifrach, kideparchina. Well, hai mufni mufna. The fact that it's mufna on both sides, therefore you cannot ask a kasha. Fine. Chamisha kroi ksivi. There's 5 psukim. Malacha, the malacha, chad lazhara, the one is a warning not to do work during the day. Chad lazhara, the leil at night. V'chad einish the yom, punishment of the day. V'chad einish the leila. V'chad lefnuye, one is extra. So lemigmar inui memalacha diyama, to learn out the inui from malacha ben diyama min alayla. Fine. So the Rabbi Shmuel Tana never kan inui v'nemer lahol inui. Malahol and loanish elohim kain hiser. So Avkan loanish elohim kain hiser. You only get punished if they're warned. Rav Bar Yaakov Omer Yov Shabbos Shabbosain Min Shabbos Bereishis. We're in out from Shabbos Bereishis. If you look on the side over here in the Hagos Habach, it says like this: Kol Shabbosos Korean Shabbos Bereishis. Every Shabbos is called Shabbos Bereishis. Mishum the Chol Moadim Nami Ksibehen Shabbos Shabbosain. All the Moadim are called Shabbos Shabbosain. Hilka currently Shabbos Bereishis Shemikudeshes. V'lo Misheshes Me Bereishis. It's Mikudeshes. It came from Sheshes Me Bereishis. So it's like this. So these are all different drushes. As we continue to pay Alf Omid Beis, Hu Gufe, Yom Kippur itself, Shabbos Ikri, is also called Shabbos. Tishmitu Shabbatchem. Fine. So Bishlam, Rab Papa, Rav Acha Bar Yaakov. Why does he hold like him? The Krad Dechtiv Begufe. Adif. The Yom Kippur itself is called Shabbos. El Rav Acha Bar Yaakov, my Tamal Rav Papa. Why doesn't he say like this idea that Yom Kippur is like Shabbos? My Tamal Rav Papa. So Meboyle, because he needs it with Nasanya. The pasuk says, "V'nisim estam shosechem atishul chodesh," that the Yom Kippur fast is on the 9th day of Tishrei. What? 9th day of Tishrei? Yochol Yaskil Nisan B'Tshi. First of all, you would think that you begin and you fast on the 9th. Talmud Lormer B'Erev at night. B'Erev Yochol Mitzshetechshach. You would think, well, it's dark. Talmud Lormer B'Tisha. You're supposed to do it already before it's dark. Okay, Tzad. Maskil Masan B'Boyd Yomi Mikash Masim B'Chol Chodesh. You add a little bit of time before and afterwards. It's a din of Tosefes. The Ainli El B'Chni Sasai. Then you're supposed to add a little bit of time before Yom Kippur. That's Yasamanai, and how do we know at the end of Yom Kippur you're supposed to add a little time of Tosefes Yom Kippur? Talmud Lormer B'Erev Ad Erev. The Ainli El Yom Kippur. Yom Tov V'Shabbosai is Menayin. Talmud Lormer Tishbatu. Ainli El Shabbosam Yom Tovim Menayin. Talmud Lormer Shabbosai HaKetzad. Kol Makom Shnemer Shvus Mikash Mosivin Mechol Al Kodesh. Vatana the etzem, according to that Tana, Hai B'Tishol Chodesh Ma Yovadlei. What does he do with that pasuk? Miboyel Netani Chia Bar Rav Midifti. Netani Chia Bar Rav Midifti was brought down also Masechtas Brachos Daf Chesam Beis. The pasuk says Yinisim Estam Shezei Chem B'Tisha. You're supposed to fast on the 9th day. So Vachi B'Tisha Mesanin. So one answer is you do start fasting on the 9th because of Tosefes Yom Kippur. His teretz is a little bit different. Very beautiful vart. Question as far as why that's the case, that if you end up eating on Erev Yom Kippur, you know it's a mitzvah to eat on Erev Yom Kippur, it's k'il like you fast on the 9th and the 10th. Some explain because you're doing a l'shem mitzvah, so you're not really eating because of your own enjoyment per se. You're doing it because you know that I have to fast tomorrow on Yom Kippur, and therefore that's connected to the fast. Okay, question 6. So the answer is either, as we said, it teaches us that we're Masivim Al Kodesh, that we add a little bit before, so on the ninth we're already fasting, or to tell anyone who eats and drinks on the ninth, it's ki'u like they fasted on those days, on both the ninth and the 10th. Okay. So you're potter if you eat something which is really inedible. So Merabah, kas pilpuli biyom kipuri, a person who's chewing, and we talked about this language of kas on the Rashi on Pei Alpha Medalef on yesterday's daf. Anything when you eat which is not the normal way of eating, that's the language that we use. So a person who's eating these peppers this unusual way on Yom Kippur is potter, because again, that's not something which is typical. For that matter, kas, someone who chewed up and ate in an unusual way, the zan gavila, which is like a ginger, b'yom kippur potter. I may say, the pasuk says, is puriyai, that there's a chiyuv of arla when it comes to a tree, that you're not allowed to eat its fruit for 3 years. We of course know that's talking about edible fruits. What does it mention that? It's telling you that even the branches, right? That also is something that you're not allowed to eat, which is referring to palpulin, in which the taste of the wood and its fruit are the same. So Lamadcha teaches us first of all shapalpulin chayim ba'arla. This pasuk tells you that it's considered to be a min ilan, it's a type of tree, and it's chayim an arla. The Eretz Yisrael chaser klum, and the Eretz Yisrael is not missing anything, even as has these peppers. Shnemar well saxer kolboy. So the question is, how can you tell me that when it comes to chewing peppers you're putter, as though it's to say it's something which is not normal? So it seems that's a regular fruit. So lokasha ha bir tivta ha bir veshta. One is if it's moist, which Rashi says is chazil mechel. That's something which is fit to eat. But if it's hard as a rock and very dry, that already is inedible. Amara Amalei Ravina Lemremer. V'Aimer Rav Nachman Hai Hemalta. So these people from these Hemaltins, which Rashi says they create these besamim, which is ketushim b'dvash. Da'asmebe Hindui, almost sounds like the Hindus. Sharia, you're allowed to partake of this food. It's not a problem. Rashi says Hindui is Eretz Kush. Kush is usually translated Ethiopia. The bracha is hadama. So again, the question. Well, first of all, let's see Rashi. TB6 asks the question: Hi himelta diasim be Hindui sharia. So matam do asiri mishum bishul nachrim. How you allowed to eat it? It's cooked by a non-Jew. And also this issue of gulei nachrim. The kalim are also apparently not acceptable, right? So how are you allowed to eat this food? So Rashi answers those two questions. Rashi says sharia. Because when you can eat something raw, so even if they cook it, it's not considered to be bishul akum. Bishul akum is only something which is inedible in its raw form, and when they cook it, that's bishul akum. However, it's not bishul akum because they're able to eat this thing even while it's raw. Furthermore, says Rashi, why not? We know that there's an element of noisin tam l'pagam. That if it's, let's say, something which is, there's a difference between a ben yoma or an eno ben yoma. If the pot is not a ben yoma, which means it's been 24 hours that it has not been used, so even though we say that there's tam ki'ikr, however, after 24 hours, we say the concept of noisin tam l'pagam. It's pagam. It's nothing. Those bliyas don't have any positive effect, and therefore you'll have to use it. Says Rashi, however, the k'omer ein bo mishum bishul nachrim. Obviously, it's something you could eat. It must be, it's fit to eat. So against the kasha, no, lo kasha, we give the same answer. Back in the Gemara, second one line, if it's moist, if it's wet and liquidy, then it's something which is edible. If it's dry, hard as a rock, then it's inedible. A person ate the leaves of reeds, potter, lovi gafanim, of grapevines, chai. So when it comes to that, we make a distinction. Elin lavi gafanim. What are these lavi gafanim? So Amar Rabbi Yitzchak Migdalah, he says the following: Kol shel liv lavoi Rosh Hashanah v'yad Yom Kippur. Anything that it's sprouted from Rosh Hashanah till Yom Kippur, says Rashi, of a liv koydem Rosh Hashanah, if let's say it was before Kvar Nasu Kashim, they're already hard, the Eitz Ba'al Magnin, already they're too hard, like wood. And therefore it's got to be something that sprouted a little later on. It still has some texture, some moisture, and some ability to be able to be chewed. Rav Kahana Omer Kol Shloshim Yoim, all 30 days. Tani Gavas the Rabbi Yitzchak. The law Achol Ali Kanim Pater, Loving Gafanim Chayim, Eli Loving Gafanim Kol Shaluv Du Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippurim. So that's to support that again. It's dafka if it's during that time. And then the Mishnah concludes: Shasa Sir or Murias Pater. If a person would also have like the fish fats or fish brines, then you're Pater, which is mashmah chaymitz chayim. If you would, let's say, consume vinegar, then you'd be chayim. Asnistamani. So Rabbi Hidesan, Rabbi Yomer chaymitz meishavas nefesh. Chaymitz actually is something which satiates, makes a person feel good, and therefore has a benefit in its consumption, and therefore you'll be chayiv by chaymitz. Dorish Rab Gidol bar Menashe Mibnei Nash Mibirei Denarash. Ein halacha karev. No, the halacha is not like that. Even when it comes to vinegar, it's not a problem. Shana next year, Nafki Koli Alma, the whole world went out, and Mazgu they diluted with water. V'shasu chal, they started drinking vinegar, thinking that it wasn't a problem. So Sham Rav Gidol they got upset. Amar Amar Diamri Na Diev L'Chachila Miyamar. Miyamri, I didn't say you could just L'Chachila drink vinegar on Yom Kippur, but Diev, you're not going to be chayiv kares for violating eating on Yom Kippur. But you shouldn't do it. And furthermore, maybe you could have a drop, a little bit. Tuva miyamri, they say you can have a lot. If it's raw, mozing miyamri, it's already diluted. That's already with water. Water obviously you can't drink on Yom Kippur. Okay, that's where we're going to stop. And let's see one more question. TA4. Ma chumra sheish b'malacha shein b'inoi, ma chumra sheish b'inoi shein b'malacha. Mishum hachal yelf b'mahadadi l'oinish hazhara. So he said, when it comes to malacha, it's aser on Shabbos and Yom Tov, as opposed to the inoi of Yom Kippur is dafka on Yom Kippur. It's Shabbos and Yom Tov and all the times you can eat. It's just on Yom Kippur. However, the inoi is strict that we don't. It's lo hutim chlaloi. It doesn't make any difference who you are. As we said, even the Kohen Gadol is not allowed to eat on Yom Kippur, even in the Beis HaMikdash while he's doing the avodah. But malacha in the Beis HaMikdash is allowed to be done. Certain malachos, bringing karbanos, etc. And therefore, that's why we cannot learn out one from the other, and that's the reason why we have to say mutna on both sides. Adkan.